I always tell people the week they're quitting smoking, they might be having reactions. And again, I'm emphasizing they might. That might make it really rough. And people who do have a really rough time, I make a point of telling them that if the way they're feeling now, during their peak withdrawal time period, usually within 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, if the way they were feeling at the time that it was at its worst was the way they're going to feel forever, oh my gosh, they're better off smoking and dying prematurely than living like that forever. I mean, they're already feeling that, so I might as well just, reinforce their thought here. But the fact is, the way that they're feeling during those first few days is not what it feels like to be an ex-smoker. It's not what it's like for them to feel like to be an ex-smoker. It's what they feel like when they're in the middle of drug withdrawal. What I try to tell them, in a sense, to reassure them, is that the way they're feeling then is not the way they're going to feel for very long. In a matter of, a week or two, for the most practical purposes, people are going back to normal. And I really mean that. They are going to go back to normal. But there's a catch here. It's, what am I defining as normal? What do I mean when I say they're going back to normal? Normal is not what it was a week or two earlier when they were still smoking, prior to the quit. That wasn't normal. That's what they were like as smokers. Right now, they're getting a sense of what they feel like as a smoker in drug withdrawal. When they go back to normal, what I mean by that is they're going back to the way their body was in many ways before they ever took up smoking, with aging thrown in. We don't know what normal is for the individual. In other words, what they were like, again, what may have been 20 or 30 or 40 years earlier, is not what they're going to be like today. Aging is a variable that's thrown in there. And because of that, certain things are going to take a little while to adjust for the person to figure out what really is right for them. Some good examples of this is like the sleep pattern. Sleep will go back to normal. But again, normal is now what it was when they were smoking. You'll find a lot of people, after they quit smoking, they'll get by on less sleep. Now again, the week they're quitting smoking, this is nonsensical information. The sleep is disrupted. They're either oversleeping or they're undersleeping. Just nothing is normal then. But once they get a few weeks under their belt, most people will find that they will actually get by on a little less sleep than they did before. The way it's noticeable to many of these people is they'll wake up before their alarm clock, which they never did, alert, refreshed, and ready to go. It used to be when they were smoking, they could, the alarm would go off and they'd want to kill the thing. They just didn't have enough sleep. They were tired. They have to smoke first thing to get themselves perked up. I mean, that's what they're thinking. And to a degree, it was happening. They were taking a stimulant drug to wake them up, but they were also taking a drug that they were in withdrawal from not having smoked for 7 or 8 hours. So that's kind of a real hard to describe complex reaction going on of what those early cigarettes were doing. But in most cases, people will find out that once they do quit, they will get by on less sleep and yet be more alert. Now, there's some people who are the opposite. There's some people who need more sleep after they quit smoking. They are the minority, but they do exist. For the most part, though, you'll find people will get by feeling more rested on a little bit less sleep than they did before. So the sleep, in a sense, is going back to normal. But again, normal is not what it was when they were smoking. It's that normal before they ever took it up, with an aging variable thrown in. Another place where this is an important situation is with a blood sugar issue. Their blood sugar issues are going back to normal. Now, what they did when they were smoking wasn't normal. You'll find people who will skip breakfast. They just don't eat breakfast when they're a smoker. They don't need it. They don't feel good when they eat it, maybe, but they don't need it. Some of those people even skip or have minimal lunches, and then they'll eat very heavy dinners. And then they try to do the same pattern when they quit smoking. Well, they're in for a surprise, because if they try to do that pattern when they are off cigarettes for a week or two, they're going to likely find themselves just wiped out in the morning from not eating, having low blood sugar effects. Now, the reason for this is nicotine elevated blood sugar levels, and it did it very efficiently. And, that's how they could get by without eating meals in the past, And if they try it now, they will experience blood sugar problems, headaches, dizziness, can't concentrate. And these aren't going to go away. People say, oh no, just get through a few days and things are going to go back to normal here. No, not if you had an eating pattern adjusted around your smoking that you try to continue after you quit smoking, and now you don't have the nicotine effect elevating your blood sugar. Well, you're going to have to learn a new pattern of eating. It doesn't mean eating more, but it does mean eating at different points, redistributing the large meal into smaller meals. Some people who got by on 3 meals a day may need to snack between meals that never did do it before. But again, this doesn't mean increasing overall quantity. It means redistributing portions of the meals into in between time slots. Another place where things are going back to normal is like your sense of smell and taste are going back to normal. But again, normal is not what it was when you were a smoker. You may have some recipes that you've perfected, you've made for years, you spiced them a certain way, you added a certain amount of ingredients and they tasted great to you. And then you try to do that same spicing a week or two after you quit smoking, you realize, oh my God, this is awful. It's too salty, it's too spicy. Something had altered. Well, your sense of taste had altered. You may have had taste buds that were so dulled that to try to get flavor out of foods, you may have had to add so much spicing to it that once you quit and you add that same spicing in, oh my gosh, this thing could burn your tongue at this point. That never had that effect before. Again, it's your body going back to normal. Now, one of the most important places that I want to highlight in this piece here about going back to normal, people who've been on medications for different conditions, for thyroid conditions, for diabetes, for other hypoglycemia, blood pressure. There's just numerous medications that were adjusted around you as a smoker. And then you quit smoking. And you may be metabolizing these drugs differently. You may need more of them. You may need less of them. If you're having symptoms going longer than, again, even a week, definitely anything past the second week, ongoing symptoms, and you have a history that's been requiring you to be medicated for different conditions. Emotional conditions fit into this category too, depression issues. If you're on medications for different physiological or psychological conditions and you're not adjusting right, you're not feeling right, you need to be checked by your doctor. Letting the doctor know you've quit smoking. Make it very clear, these medications you were put on while you were smoking, you're off smoking, you're having these symptoms now, and get this professionally assessed. Find out, is the dosage correct for you now? You may find yourself needing different dosages. It may mean getting different medications. Some people find out they don't even need certain medications they were on. Other people find out they need medications they never needed before. It's not as common of a reaction, but it does happen. Smoking may have been masking other conditions. So things that are going on longer really should be checked out by a physician to make sure, that things haven't, in a sense, again, gone back to normal, but normal is a different reality than what it was when you were smoking. Most people will find, in general, though, their normal will feel a lot more comfortable as, ex-smokers than they were feeling as smokers. Again, the exception to that rule are people who are self-medicating a condition, but in almost every case, if it is requiring, you got a physiological underlying problem that needs, treatment, the treatment's out there for almost any condition you could think of. They're not going to have the side effects that went along with smoking. You see, smoking didn't just treat for people who were self-medicating the one condition. It was also causing all the other problems that went with being a smoker. And that's the type of thing, the other medications, they don't have the side effect of killing 50% of the people who use them. They don't have the side effect of making them smell, atrocious, from fumes coming off them. They don't have the side effects of making you a social outcast because you use this product. So, smoking is a package deal that takes a lot of different problems, along, with whatever you may have thought you were using it for, and creates all these other problems going along with it that the other medications won't have those issues. So anyway, the main point of this is you will go back to normal. You'll have to figure out what normal is, but normal is generally going to be a better way of life, a safer way of life, a healthier way of life that you'll be able to maintain for the rest of your life. by, again, sticking to the commitment you made the day you quit to never take another puff.